Welcome back to Metropole Television. This is Business M Global. The on-demand delivery startup has announced a new wave of strategic partnerships and launched operations in Ngong and Rongai towns as part of its expansion strategy to provide delivery services in various parts of the country. Now, besides the expansions and partnerships, Priscilla Muhio is the lady on the hot seat as a general manager for Glovo Kenya. Priscilla, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Happy to have you around. So let's get into this conversation this morning. Now, Glovo already has the widest coverage in Nairobi among on-demand e-commerce companies. So talk to us, how will this move see the company extend its delivery of food and drinks, as well as the shipment of services to residents in Rongai and other towns?
Okay, first of all, allow me to just give you a brief overview of what Glovo is. So Glovo is an on-demand application that enables you to get anything, literally anything delivered as long as it's legal. So as you've said, we recently expanded into new areas, that is Ngong and Rongai. And the idea here is to make sure that we make Glovo accessible and affordable to most of the people in Kenya. And we also have expansion plans. We plan to launch Eldoret actually in the next coming weeks. In the next 2 weeks to be precise, and then we are launching Kisumu 2 weeks later. So the idea here is to make sure we are available in all the major cities in Kenya.
Pretty much. Just before we continue with this conversation, it's interesting how you're saying that you're going to be in Eldoret and Kisumu. Do you think that for some time now that we've been neglecting these upcoming cities, or as I like to say, metropolis of Kenya, in terms of seeing them as technology possible expansion areas?
For us, I would not say we've been neglecting. It's just a part of the, the expansion strategy. We usually start with the most, vibrant city, and then slowly expand into other cities. To just give an example of other markets that we are in, Romania, for example, we are in about 30, 40 cities. So initially when we started with the major cities, and then now we expand based on what we see in terms of the trends. So to answer your questions more precisely, the urbanization rates in these areas has also been increasing. The penetration of internet has also been increasing. Access to smartphones has also been increasing, and this presents an opportunity for us to be able to service those areas.
Pretty much. Would you also say that you are actually upbeat by just the internet connectivity? Priscilla, talk to me about culture. Is culture also another part as where you want to move to Eldoret and Kisumu? And what culture is that you see in these cities that is pretty much the same as the one that you see in Nairobi?
If you look at these particular cities, it's a cosmopolitan culture. When you look at Eldoret now, if you look at the people who live there, they are urbanized. There's no big difference between Nairobi and the people living there, especially in the major towns, not necessarily in the rural areas, but in the major towns. So in terms of culture, we believe that we will be able to get people online and start using our platforms. Just to highlight some of the cities that we are in already, Nakuru and Mombasa, they've really surprised us. We initially went in thinking, it will be one of those small cities, blah, blah, blah. But we've seen some really, really good growth in those cities. And that has given us even more motivation to go into other cities in Kenya.
Pretty much. Priscilla, just before we clear this conversation, I'm going to come back and ask you what your biggest lessons have been, because you're still considered a new entrant into the Kenyan market. But let me just put that aside for later. Now, as part of the firm's expansion plan, you've partnered with global supermarket chain Carrefour Supermarkets. Now, talk to me, how would this expansion sort of gear towards a strategic upscaling for your business? And do you see that this sort of partnerships for brick and mortar businesses are exactly where you peg in your services?
Yes, exactly. So what our platform ideally does is to connect users with these stores. So we don't have our own stores. We actually work with strategic partners to be able to service the customers. So like you said, we recently got Carrefour on board. And Carrefour, as you know, is an international brand, and it's actually a very good brand, as in, they're known in Nairobi as a very good brand. And working with them has been great, and we have seen their growth. They have seen their growth in their delivery orders, which is where we are able to, partner together and do co-marketing campaigns, drive more people to use online platforms. And especially during these difficult moments of COVID, you'll find that you'll find that people are now more preferring more to shop online. And now by having these partners on board, we are giving them access to more stores.
Pretty much. Now, let me just talk about that COVID period. Now, Priscilla, we have some data from company registrar this morning who's telling us, well, Kenyans are registering over 326 businesses daily within these 3 months from September up to where we are right now. Well, you talk to me, what has the effect of COVID-19 pandemic been on your business? Because you would like to think that you hold on your expansion strategy until maybe we are out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Did it come to you as a blessing in disguise?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The small businesses really struggled in terms of keeping their businesses open because the delivery orders were not enough to sustain their businesses. So you'll find at the very early days of COVID, some of the small restaurants that we have on the platform had to close their business. But now they are coming back, and now we are helping them, revive their business by making sure we work together in terms of marketing to promote their businesses and make sure we get them to get more orders. Just to give you an example, we are currently running a campaign called Glovo Mania, and Glovo Mania has small stores also included in the campaign, where we are highlighting the affordable meals in these stores and pushing traffic towards these stores. So yes, at the beginning of COVID, we had instances where the small restaurants were not able to sustain their businesses, and also because of the fact that they are not able to make sure they meet the required requirements before they open a store. But now we are seeing this improving. We are seeing more and more restaurants opening. Actually, I'm confident to say 90% of the restaurants that had closed before are now open.
Yes. Priscilla, let me also ask you this question now. It's good that we're talking about expansion. You have some very beautiful people in the background. Say hi to them this morning. Anyway, but let's just get on to it. About the conversations that are going around, that we should not confuse this period of COVID with a rebound as opposed to a recovery, that we need to create a clear distinction now. Do you think, therefore, Priscilla, that what we are experiencing right now, which has actually put companies like Glovo as one of those essential service companies as well, is it a permanent shift, or is it just a quick rebound or adjustment as we have to recover and go back to where we were?
In my opinion, I don't think we'll ever go back to where we were, and I'll tell you why. Just to give you an example, I think the consumer now is becoming more and more health conscious. I can give you an example. I normally go to Arboretum to work out just close to my house. And right now, if you go right now, you'll find the parking is full. People are becoming more and more health conscious. They're looking after what they're eating. They're looking after their bodies, etc. I don't think that behavior will stop post-COVID. Another behavior that I don't think will stop is the habit of shopping online. Because I believe that when the users now they became used to the convenience of using an online platform, it makes you a bit lazy, if you know what I mean, yeah? So I think that this behavior will continue post the COVID. So those are the two things I think will not stop despite the COVID situation.
Somebody's going to ask you this morning, Priscilla. What makes your services different? Because you're in an area where, well, it's considered logistics, and there's so many people there. What makes you different?
Our unique value proposition is what we call the multi-category app, or the super app.
Yes.
So unlike our competitors who focus mainly on food or maybe food and supermarkets, we consider ourselves as a multi-category app. So if you go to the Glovo app right now, you will see a couple of categories. You'll see food, supermarkets, drinks, shops. Even you'll find a Masai market shop inside there. So, and then in the middle, we have what we call a magic button, which is called the anything button. In the event that you don't find the store that you're looking for on Glovo, you're able to literally tell us, go and pick this item from this store and bring it to me. So the magic button, we call it the magic button because it unlocks potential, and then we use the data from the magic button to understand what the people really want, and then we go and partner with those particular stores. So our unique value proposition is that we are multi-category. We get anything that is legal delivered in minutes.
When the last quarter of this year, which everybody said, well, that's the time that we have to measure the performances of most businesses, because even in the country, that's when we're coming out of the strict curfew measures and other unprecedented measures that we're forced to take as we were trying to stop the spread of COVID-19. Talk to me. What has been your effect? Are we talking about a glory environment in Glovo? Because yes, you're one of those companies who we will say you are on the defensive side. What has been the effect? Would you say that, well, to some level we felt it? And what was that?
So to be precise, the biggest growth we saw was on groceries. Actually, I remember one of the meetings we had, we were saying maybe COVID was the growth hack for groceries because initially people were not, the groceries category was important and it was growing, but the COVID situation made it really pick up because if you think about it, at the very beginning of COVID, only 100 people were allowed in a particular supermarket. And then the hassle of going to, shop, interact with people were a bit skeptical. So that enabled us to grow at the groceries category. So in terms of impact, that's where we saw the biggest growth. To just give you some numbers, we saw 30% month-on-month growth on the groceries category.
And that is, you will say, quite good for your business, isn't it?
Yes, very good actually.
All right, so let's talk about what your plans are for Glovo. Can you paint for me a picture of where you need Glovo to be probably in the next year as we're talking about your expansion plans?
So over and above the expansion plans, we plan to try and figure out how do we make Glovo accessible, even to what you call your mass market, your low-end consumer, because we believe that Glovo should not be an app that is only used by a particular segment of the society. We believe that we should be able to get more and more people accessing it. So we are trying to figure that out. And this quarter, actually, we've reduced our delivery fees by 20%. And we are trying to also optimize our operations to make sure we can save cost and pass the gains back to the consumer. So just to give you an example, we have stores like Kibanda Express. Kibanda Express is your mama kibanda. You're able to, order your top typical Kibanda food at a very cheap price. We just launched Mama Mboga Express. Having the Mama Mboga being able to sell through the platform. So some of those things we are trying to do that to enable more and more people to actually be able to come to the platform and sell their products, as well as consumer accessing the platform as well.
Could you talk to me about your customer during this COVID-19 pandemic? What does your customer want from you?
Our customer wants safety. That's the most important thing. So
Yes.
we need to continuously ensure that we are following the protocols when it comes to the COVID protocols.
Yes.
So just to give an example, we provide all our riders with sanitizers. They have to make sure they, wear their masks all time. And then also we always make sure that they are, adhering to the protocols by making sure we sanitize their bags. We already partnered with a garage to sanitize their bikes as well. So the first thing that the consumer needs to know, or rather needs to feel, is safe.
Yes.
Then the second thing is the convenience of, I know when I've ordered this item, it will come to me. So how do you help them? Like on the app, you'll be able to track your order. You'll be able to see where the rider is. You'll be able to call the rider, So some of those things, those two things actually are the key things that the consumer in Glovo expects from us.
Finally, Priscilla, as we clear this conversation this morning, yes, we have to point it out. I mean, you are a lady in a top position in a company that is trying to reach so many people within an economy and sort of come up with something that we're calling a shift from what we've been doing to what we should do, especially when you compare us with the top economies, especially where your company has a bigger stronghold in. Yeah. What does that make you feel from where you are this morning, Priscilla?
Actually, I'm very humbled. I can just give you a brief history. When I applied at Glovo the first time, I wanted to be a general manager. However, at that time, Glovo was launching in Africa, and I had experience in marketing before, launching brands in Africa. So I took the head of marketing for Africa position, and then I still kept on, pursuing my ambition of being a general manager because I really wanted to be able to run a whole business as opposed to focusing on only one function. And I'm very humbled. And I also would like to, use different platforms to share my story and to inspire other women out there that if you put your mind into doing something, it's very possible to achieve it. You just need to work hard and do whatever it takes. Of course, don't do it at the expense of others, but doing whatever it takes and you will get there.
Priscilla, thank you very much for taking your time to speak to us this morning.
Thank you too. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, we take a short break here on Business and once we come back, we continue with our normal business for the day. That was Priscilla Muhiu, General Manager, Glovo Kenya.